kind of start to head out that way. You can leave your bags in your seats. Faculty will be up there. We can pull a chair. Joyce, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
So yeah, they were the crossover cohort.
Okay. Done. So yeah, because you've been helping to.
This is the class.
Jason, you know what to do?
Yeah.
When you want to come in, go ahead and have a.
Jason.
Jason, you can hit the flag, okay?
Okay.
Someone was walking in. Yeah, I didn't.
What?
Where do you want me to stand? Just back here?
That's fine. Yeah. We will be walking.
Oh, okay.
As soon as Brendan.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Jen.
Hi. How are you?
Where did he go?
I saw him walking in and I said, get in here. I mean, he just went that way.
Maybe he went around. We're gonna walk in with him.
Okay. So where do I walk?
Jason, go ahead and start it.
Welcome to the Physical Therapist Assistant Honors Convocation for the classes of 2020. I'm Bridget Clark. I'm the Physical Therapist Assistant Program Director, and today we will first be hearing from the Dean of Health Sciences. So glad you guys could make it today in person and online with us.
These masks, are you getting tired of them yet? We might have them around for a little bit longer. Well, guys, congratulations. You have done it. How's it feel? Good? Glad to be done? Well, this marks my 5th pinning this week that I've attended, and I can't think of a better way to end this year and also this term. One word that consumes me as I see you guys in front of me is hope. I wouldn't want to do this any differently, and I think we've had some of the best students to walk through this last year that we could have asked for, knowing what we know now. It brings me pure joy to see you succeed, and this tradition of pinning is just icing on the cake for to have an opportunity to applaud each of you and celebrate your accomplishment. It is well-deserved, and we know it didn't come easy. Your hard work has paid off. To the family and friends of these students, these new physical therapist assistants, I just want to say a huge thank you. The support of those around a student as they go through school is truly priceless. Thank you for sharing each of these individuals with us, caring for them so well when they spent their time with us in classes and labs and clinical. And we know that you are looking forward to more time with them and having their attention back a little bit more than they've probably had in the last year and a half. Well, it is an honor to not only have you join the profession of physical therapy, but also to welcome you to the healthcare team as an integral part of patient care. Your skills and knowledge are needed today more than ever. But I also believe you have gained behaviors and knowledge that are needed today more than ever. I believe you have grown personally while you've become a PTA. I strongly believe you have gained confidence in yourself. In learning to advocate for patients, you've learned to advocate for yourself. In caring for others, and you've learned to care for yourself. In learning to serve, you have sparked a passion to serve others that I hope lasts a lifetime. In overcoming nerves and the anxiety of classes and practicums, you are more willing to face and overcome your fears. And in late nights and long clinical days, you have learned the impact of hard work and commitment and what that can have on your own success. In understanding your patients, you have ignited a curiosity to know more and become lifelong learners. And in valuing human life, you have learned to value yourself. I and your faculty are beyond proud of each and every one of you. You see, you're special. When I see you, I see amazingly special people. You are called to be a PTA, and not just everyone can do it. There's some people that were in your class that aren't with you today. You will have the honor of walking with individuals and families in their highest highs and their lowest lows, their brightest days and some of their darkest nights. And that takes someone special. You will be there as a person learns to walk again after a stroke. You will give hope to a high school athlete who believes their baseball career is over, and you'll see them return to their sport. You will help an elderly couple maintain their independence through teaching them to use a cane or a walker, and you will encourage a car accident victim who is learning to use a wheelchair, see it as an opportunity instead of lifetime confinement. Each of these sweet, hard, often joyful or heartbreaking moments and situations are opportunities for learning for you, and they are impacting the lives of others. It will forever change you, this new career. May you never say you are just a PTA, because you are so, so much more than you will ever realize in the lives of those you will care for, and you are special. This is a calling. It is not just a job. There are lots of other professions out there you could have chose that will be easier. So I would like to humbly ask that you let me encourage you today. In the midst of seeing COVID spread throughout the world, I have spent time here at SCC hoping for you, praying for the impact each of you will have. Complete the many exams, proficiencies, labs, homework, and clinical hours. This year, more than ever, I have watched our students navigate and struggle through this strange and often scary new healthcare world we are in. It is a true honor to call you part of my healthcare team. The calling you have chosen won't be easy, but it will be very, very rewarding. I hope, like me, you find it to be your life's work, that sweet, sweet spot where you use your skills and experiences that you've learned and had here in school in conjunction with your own personal strengths and talents to make a difference in the world, even if it is for just one. And remember, how we treat people really does matter, more than doing assessments or therapy on patients. Be kind always, even with that gruff, rude old patient who doesn't see you as their favorite person. And become successful by positively impacting the lives of others. You have been given a very special opportunity with this education, and sometimes it will feel like a challenge or a burden, but choose every day to see it as an opportunity. Remember, when it is hard, this too shall pass. If there is anything I know to be true and without a doubt about our students that are graduating today and in this year, you are resilient, you are strong, you are persistent, and you have what it takes to be a difference maker in the world today. You will be great. I have a quote in my office from Winnie the Pooh: "You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." And that is true every day of your career. I'm excited for this next step in your journey. I understand for many of you this degree is going to change your life. May you never quit learning and caring for others. You are off to great places, and today is your day. Congratulations. Know we are cheering for you. Come back and tell us all the neat things that you're seeing and doing, and we wish you the very best. Thank you for letting me be part of your day.
So for the students here today, something you guys are used to, I messed up a little bit. I should have spoke before Jill, but hey, old times, bringing them back. So before I get started with my remarks for you, I do want to take a moment and I want us to give your family, your friends, your support system a round of applause for the support that they gave you to get through the program. Second, I do want to say I am truly sorry we don't get to have the normal celebration that we usually get to have, but I'm really glad that we got to be with you guys today and see you today and celebrate you because you very, very much so deserve it. So just kind of going with the times of 2020, we're doing the best we can. Also, I want to acknowledge that this is not an easy program to get to. There's a misconception out there since we're housed in a community college or any community college degree is, quote, easy. You guys know this firsthand. Physical therapist assistant degree is not easy. So then throw that in with what we all know, the 2020 pandemic. But then these two groups had a little bit of extra stuff to begin with before the pandemic even hit. My group who graduated in May, they were the last group that we had on the quarter system at SCC. So they got to experience that transition of quarters to semesters and the little bit of stress it might have caused me at times, and maybe them. My group here on my left are December 2020 grads. You're the first group in our semester curriculum. So that was another transition that we had to go through, but good transition. So I just want to take a second to say thank you to both groups of you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for sticking with us. And you should be, number one, very proud of yourself that you made it through the program. Number two, you made it through a pandemic. Number three, you made it through those two transitions. So I want you guys to give yourself a round of applause again. So there have been a lot of negatives this past year. Today, I am going to focus on the positives that we've had this past year. Number one, you guys all came out on the other side. Okay? Like Jill was saying, you've developed some skills, and these skills are going to be with you for the rest of your lives. They're going to be in your personal lives and in your professional lives. So that is one positive to come from everything that's happened this year. Second, with the pandemic, healthcare workers have really been put in the spotlight this year. The community and the country have seen how vital healthcare workers are and how fortunate we are to have the healthcare workers, the healthcare system that we have in the United States with this. You guys are part of this group, okay? You guys are part of this group that they talk about on the news, on everything. You guys are a very important part of the healthcare team, okay? We may not be in the ICU giving meds, putting people on vents, that type of thing, but we are there afterwards. We are the ones that help people get back to their lives, okay? Not just after suffering COVID-19, after suffering many illnesses and injuries. So I want you guys, when they are thinking healthcare workers on the news, in the public, you guys are part of that group. I also want to take a second. You may have known these guys that are to my right have been out in the clinic. We won't get everybody better, but we are going to get a lot of people better, and your patients are going to be very, very thankful for that. You've probably seen that in the clinic so far, just being on clinicals, patients that you do get better, they're very, very thankful for that. That is one reason why this program is not easy. It is because you guys are that essential part of the healthcare team helping people get back. That is one reason why they're so thankful. They're so thankful for the skills that you've developed in this program. So a third positive, you're going to hear this word probably a lot today, is resilience. You guys have developed a lot of resilience and flexibility with everything that's been thrown at you. Also, this is often why our answer to you is, it depends. So students will come up, ask us a question, and we'll pause and we'll go, well, it depends. So you've been out in the clinic now on clinicals, maybe out working. You know that not everything in healthcare follows a straight and narrow line. So it always depends. So that resiliency and that flexibility is going to help you with those real life moments of when it depends. The fourth positive, and probably fortunately for you guys, maybe unfortunately, I'm not sure, this group over here got to be on Zoom for quite a while, from March till June, and I was teaching from my home. I have 2 younger children, and so my gift to you guys is parenting. Not necessarily good parenting, but parenting is hard, especially in a pandemic. So someday when you have kids, or you have kids now, and you're like, how am I doing? Am I doing okay? They're still alive. They're growing. Am I doing things okay? You can think back to that time on Zoom with Bridget and how Bridget's parenting skills were. So my gift to you guys. So can I have Cheez-Its at 9 in the morning? Yes, go have Cheez-Its. Can I have a piece of chocolate? Yes, go have chocolate. Can we watch TV? Yes, go watch TV. Leave me alone. I'm trying to teach these guys. So there's my gift to you. You guys really didn't get to see the crazy on Zoom as much as these guys did. So to end, I want to reflect a little bit on each of your classes individually. First to the May 2020 graduates, I remember when we were way back in orientation, before you even started, and I was explaining how the quarters and semester transition is going to go. Zoom forward, through the program. These are words, and we got to do a little Zoom celebration back in May, so some of these words will ring true again. I kind of picked them out as some words that remind me of your class or make me think of your class. So, hot packs, many hot packs, chuck your tin instead of tuck your chin, color coding, competitive, below the Dura, towels, plant responsibilities, easygoing, driven, hardworking, flexible, travel decisions, dancing, magic hands, tears, I have to admit, mostly for me, from students too, but a lot of tears from me, counting, splitting up labs, and finally the twins and Jessica. So sorry, you family members wondering what I'm talking about, you can ask your loved ones and they will fill you in. So December of 2020 graduates, again, thank you for your patience with this new semester curriculum and then the pandemic. Not an easy feat. So these are the words that come to mind when I remember you. And unfortunately, I was not with you guys as long as I normally get to be. That first semester I wasn't with you as much, but I still got a couple nuggets out of that semester. So clowns, get out of B20 at least 1 minute prior to your scheduled end time, or you will get a stare down. It's one of my first interactions with you guys. Body hammocks are very important, especially with bed mobility. Make sure you get that bed up and you get that bed down. The acute care simulation, every year causes students to turn many, many shades of red. You guys might remember that too. This year was no exception. Still turned a lot of shades of red with the acute care sim assignment. Genuine, perseverance, decerebrate, could also be spelled as decelibate, humor, soul sister, hardworking, flexible, Zoom, counting and splitting up labs is still hard, and last of all, I'm sorry, this is what I may remember you guys most for, potty training and pooping. And that one you definitely need to ask your loved ones about. Okay. I want to finish by saying how proud I am of all of you. You should be very, very proud of yourselves as well. Think back to how far you have come. You guys didn't get to be the patients for the old group, just didn't work out. Not all of this group got to be patients for the new group that's in classes now, but a few of you were, but think about how far you've come. Adjusting a walker and crutches is not as bad as what it seems. Getting somebody out of bed isn't quite as bad as what it seems. Walking, better, not quite as bad as what it seems at the time. Coming up with exercises, palpating, remembering the muscles, origins, insertions. Maybe not as bad now as what you remember, maybe. So, look at how far you guys have become. I am proud to say that you are graduates of Southeast Community College's Physical Therapist Assistant Program. And I am very excited to see the clinicians that you're going to become and the patients' lives you're going to touch. Thanks. Next, we have Ian Thompson, the Director of Clinical Education.
It's so good to see you. So good to see you all,
It's really exciting to know where we're at and know where we are now, and to think of the craziness that's happened over the last year. So 2020 gave us the opportunity, the first and only opportunity to graduate 2 classes. It happened now, and it won't happen again. I can promise you that. But it taught us a lot. It taught you guys a lot. It taught you guys a lot. And so I think about that crazy year, and just like Bridget said and Jill said, resilience is something that comes to mind, and really actually 2 words. So the definition of resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. That makes me think of another word that in my career and I guess in my education, one of the things that I learned a lot about was grit, or resiliency and grit. And so resiliency can lead to grit. And so when I think of grit, I think of you guys. Grit can be defined as a passion and perseverance for long-term and meaningful goals. You guys all reached a goal. It's something that you set out and that you worked really hard for. It is the ability to persist in something that you feel passionate about and persevere when you face obstacles. And let me tell you, we had some obstacles. There were some times when you probably thought it wasn't ever going to get any better, just like Bridget said, but it has. So you guys have learned a lot, and you've learned those skills that can definitely help you out in the clinic, because you're going to come across those people that resiliency or grit are going to help. Our patients struggle. Our patients you'll see them on their worst day. Our patients have dealt with pain. Our patients have dealt with disability. Our patients have dealt with tragedy. And you're going to be seeing them on those days. And hopefully, with the things that you've learned and the grit and the resilience that you've shown, you'll show them how to be resilient and gritty, because it's going to be an important skill that's going to help them get to the next step and the next level as well. Obstacles are going to continue to come. They're going to come in life. They came this year, and unfortunately, they're not going to stop. And so the grit and the resilience that you continue to show is going to help to get you through. The grit and resilience that you demonstrate can help to get your patients through. And so I encourage you to continue to work on that and to face every day as a new challenge and something that you can learn from and you can get through and get by. And it'll always make you a better person. You guys are here today, a group that's ended in May and a group that is ending here in December. And we celebrate basically the end of your time here at Southeast Community College in the Physical Therapist Assistant Program. But it's the beginning of your future, and it's the beginning of your part of being in this career. And so what I will try to instill into you, or what I will try to discuss with you is what to do now and what to do next. It's important that you continue to use the skills that you've learned here and to develop even better or even more, how do I want to say? Well, let's just say continue to develop your skills as you move through, as you're working with patients, as you're learning to, or as you're practicing what we call physical therapy. Always be willing to try new things, always be willing to learn new things, always be willing to take information from others, always be willing to take criticism, always be willing to be an advocate for yourself, an advocate for your patients, always be willing to be present in this profession that we've grown to love, always be willing to go the next mile. And whether that's being at your clinic, whether that's in a class that you go to, whether that it's coming back and helping us out here, whether that's continuing your memberships in the American Physical Therapy Association, whether that's holding an office at the American or the Nebraska Physical Therapy Association, or the APTA Nebraska, I think as they call it now. I still can't always get that out. But I want you to be the best therapist that you can be. And it didn't end today, and it starts now. We worked with you to help to get you to a place where, I don't know how to say that, but you're good enough. You're just good enough right now. As you make that next step, that's when you become awesome. That's when you learn. You learn in the clinic, you learn from people, you learn from your patients, you learn from practice, you learn from all of those things that we cannot duplicate here. Think of what you guys did in class. Think of how nervous you were for those practicals. Think of how you struggled with adjusting a walker. Think of how you struggled with instructing gait. And then you went into the clinic and you no longer had us looking over your shoulder, but you had to practice it and you had to do it. And look how much you changed, and look how comfortable that is now. And so you're continuing to grow, and I encourage you to continue to grow as a person and as a professional and as a clinician and as a physical therapist assistant. We're excited to have you. I was talking with somebody, one of you guys the other day, and I was discussing the fact that, to me, I don't get to discharge or be a part of discharges as much anymore. I just don't. I see people on a Saturday or Sunday or Thanksgiving. And so I don't see them through from the beginning to the end. And so this day is exciting to me because I always loved the discharge when we got to discharge the patients. And I look at this day as we get to discharge our students. They're coming here, it's a happy day. There's smiles on your faces. You see that the work that you did, although you may not have liked us at the time, was worth it. And now you're a viable part of this profession, and that is exciting. You're now a peer. We're the same. We're all the same. And that's something that I think is really neat. And then it's nice that every year I get to, and this year being a little bit different, every year I get to gain 20 friends, and this year I got to gain 40 that are no longer a student but are a peer and a friend. So that, with that, I say thank you, and thank you for the work that you did. We're going to move on. I'm going to call up Sarah Brown, physical therapist assistant, to give a few words from the May 2020 class.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Good. Before I kind of get started with my talk, I just want to say how proud I am to be a part of this group and value that we're all out there and doing it now, because we're kind of, we were all in it together, we're still in it together, and now that we're out in clinics or, hospitals or whatever our setting is, we all still have each other to text or, social media, however we do, and ask questions and say, hey, I had a patient today with this, and it was kind of confusing. Anybody had that before? So we can really still draw on each other, and that's something very valuable. To the people over here whose faces we all recognize, and we did get to know you in some capacity, we're there for you. We did this before you, and we're all together. We're all in the same boat now. So as you're starting out, going to take that licensure exam and do those things and then move into a profession, don't be afraid to reach out to the people that are on this side of the room and, ask us what you need to know, because we're here for you too, okay? Success. At points like this in our lives, the closure of one chapter and the opening of another, many of us find ourselves proud of what we've accomplished, but then also facing the great now what? Chasing a goal of success, we begin searching for the right formula, the one that will guarantee success. But is there a formula for success? And if so, what is it? What does success look like, and how do we know when we've achieved it? In the words of the great Bridget Clark, it depends. Merriam-Webster defines success as a degree or measure of succeeding, a favorable or desired outcome, the attainment of wealth, favor, or eminence, and one who succeeds. Before we go any further, I think it's important to note that most successful people do not become successful because they are gifted or based off of how much they know. Those who are successful become that way because of what they're willing to do to get there. Many of us have heard the saying, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that's very true. Most successful people are the ones who work hard and they succeed on purpose. Success is their plan, and success is the intention. As physical therapist assistants, we can be guided by a famous quote from Aristotle that says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." In our jobs, in our profession as PTAs, we must choose a habit and make it a daily habit of working hard, because the success we have will never be our own. The success of a PTA is manifested through our patient outcomes. Even though successful people have a clear intention and a plan for success to occur, they are completely open to that great piece of clinical wisdom, "it depends." Being open in mindset and open in practice to the possibility that at any moment the unexpected could occur and probably will occur is also a way to get to success. And we have to understand that the unexpected isn't an obstacle, but it's an opportunity. I'd like to share with you an experience that occurred during my time here as a student in the Southeast Community College Physical Therapist Assistant Program, and it's a day that really taught me that the formula for success as a PTA can be a little bit of intention and planning, but a whole lot of it depends. It was an observation day at Madonna Rehabilitation. Joyce, I'm really glad you're here today. And I showed up on time. I was in my program uniform. I had my name tag on, my notebook in hand, and 3 pens in my pocket. 3 pens? Why 3 pens? If you know me, you know that I can make a writing utensil disappear faster than a snow cone in hell. So I was prepared. I thought success for me that day would mean seeing as much as possible, taking pages of notes, asking many questions, and making a solid positive impression on everyone I got to meet. We started. Patient number 1. I wrote down everything, and I mean everything, that the physical therapist told us. I watched, and then I wrote down exercises, I recorded responses, asked questions, and wrote down the answers. I jumped in to help with an exercise. Done. Patient number 2. Much of the same, notes, questions, more notes. When the physical therapist asked a question to test our knowledge, I answered correctly. Autonomic dysreflexia. This was the best day ever. But patient number 3, when it came time to meet them, they weren't anywhere in the therapy gym. We went to the patient's room, and once we got there, it was clear that session number 3 was not going to run as predictably as the first 2. The nursing assistant told the physical therapist, "James says he's not going to do therapy today because he can't." We learned that this patient was there to rehabilitate from a motor vehicle accident. He hadn't been wearing a seatbelt at the time of the collision, which ejected him through the windshield of the car. He then landed on the highway and was run over by an oncoming vehicle. I found myself somewhat stunned in disbelief by what had happened to this man, so stunned that I wasn't taking any notes at all. Somehow the physical therapist convinced James to at least have us transfer him to the therapy gym. We went to an open mat table, and the PT we were following looked at me and said, "Now that we're here, why don't you take him through some of his exercises?" She rattled off a list of things that we could do. I felt completely unprepared and inadequate to be successful, even though I had planned for success at the beginning of the day. So I looked at James and said, "James, are you ready to do some exercises?" James looked at me and blinked. "How about some seated marches? Those aren't hard, those are easy," I said. Again, no response. I was not being successful, and I had planned to be successful that day. We know there's not a chapter in our textbooks that tells you what to do when your patient just sits there. I saw that the physical therapist was talking to another group member, and I didn't want her to think I was throwing in the towel yet, so even though my mind was drawing a blank, I looked at James once more. But this time, James's eyes were filling with tears. And so I said to him, "Is there something wrong?" And he said, he gestured for me to come closer. And so I leaned down to where James was because he could only speak in whispers. And he said to me, "Why am I alive? It should have been me. I should be the one who's dead." And at that moment, the notebooks didn't matter. And all the plans I had didn't matter. I decided that I was just going to be human with James at that moment. The reason why James was so sad and he didn't want to go to therapy that day is because in the car accident, his brother had been the driver of the car. And his brother had lost his life in that accident, and James had survived. So it wasn't physical pain, and it wasn't physical fatigue that was making James feel like he couldn't do what he needed to do that day. It was emotional pain. It was his heart breaking, and we don't have a modality for that kind of pain. So I leaned down next to him and I said, James, you're not dead, you're alive, and you're here. And that means that you're a miracle. And even if we only do one exercise together today, won't it be better than doing nothing at all? I'll do it with you. Why don't we try? James closed his eyes and slowly nodded. And then he did some seated heel and toe raises. And then he did some seated marches. And then he did some long arc quads. And then he did some unilateral hip abductions. And then therapy was over. So if someone were to ask me, what is the most important lesson you learned in PTA school, I would tell them about that day. Even though I started the day thinking that success was going to depend on my academic input and output, it turned out success had happened by laying all of that aside and having a human connection with the patient in front of me. That day I learned that in our profession, success depends on whether you let go of something you think should happen and you're willing to look at what needs to happen. It also means that success can depend on the plans you have. Sometimes the best plan is no plan, because that's when a breakthrough can happen. I think I had as much of a breakthrough that day as James did. There's no PTA textbook that teaches us how to just be human with our patients, but that's exactly the intervention that we have to provide sometimes. So as we move on from today, may we always remember the lesson of it depends, and know that our success can depend on our knowledge, our skills, and our experience, but the best outcomes will always manifest from a genuine human connection. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Our next student presenter is going to be Chris Beener, student physical therapist assistant for December class of 2020.
Freedom, finally, right? Getting that mask off. Well, Sarah, great job. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. Yeah, good job, as always. So first thing I want to do is thank everyone that worked behind the scenes. Everyone over here to my left, they were integral parts, especially Bridget and Ian. You guys worked really hard to make sure we got through this program, even though there were times, especially like practicals, where you probably wanted to rip your hair out, or you thought, hey, I taught them this all yesterday and they still aren't getting it. But, so thank you for that. So I want to start this off with a quote from the great Paul Rudd. Hey, look at us. Who would have thought? Not me. That was something that we posted in our group chat multiple times throughout the program, as most of the time we didn't think we were going to make it through that next practical or a test, or that even the semester, there was a lot of us that were hanging on by a thread at times. And so throughout the one word I have for our class is perseverance. We've had to deal with a lot, and same both classes. We had the transition from the quarter system semester, like Bridget talked about. We also switched over to Canvas from another platform, and that had its own difficulties. And then lastly, COVID. We had a lot of us, I mean, everyone here had their clinical rotations cut short, or they had, like ours got canceled and we had to go to Fridays. And I know for Ian, booking those original 40 was tough enough, and then when they all got canceled, he probably ripped out a little bit more hair. But we came together as a team. We always did our class. A couple examples of this is with Ian being such a big Packers fan for his birthday. He's actually a Cowboys fan. We dressed up in lovely Packers green, and he came in and he smiled and said, "I'm sorry you guys have to wear that puke green color today." But another example that I have is of a time where you probably don't want to. In our class, we were very close. You don't like to list your fears out to everyone, because sometimes that comes back to bite you. So an example that we have is how we moved one of our lectures to a lab temporarily, and the teachers were in on it because one of our students is definitely afraid of clowns. And when he went in to go get a wheelchair from the storage closet that's pitch dark. He was met with Pennywise the Clown. Sorry, Andrew. And to make it worse, we decided to record it, so we had about 8 different angles, so still sorry about that. But through it all, you know, we kept pushing forward, and it depends, as Bridget talked about. When we first heard that, it was the answer to all of our questions. Hey, how long is this treatment time supposed to be? How are you supposed to treat this patient? What if they have this instead? And it depends became something where we, instead of it being just something annoying at first, and you're like, that's the answer to the last 8 of my questions, it became something that they were just trying to change the way that we thought about how to treat a patient and give them the type of care that not only we would want, but how the patient deserves. And so we really had to break through that wall so that way we could grow as therapists. And so throughout it all, I'd like to reference that quote from the great Paul Rudd again. And because many of us had to give up days, nights, weekends, holidays, social and personal lives to be here. And to that I say, hey, look at us. Congratulations, guys. We made it. Thank you.
All right, the fun part, pinning. How this will work today is that we are going to go to the old-fashioned route. Do you have them? Sticks.
Yeah.
Okay. The dreaded envelope. This one's a little more wrinkly because it's theirs. And it's stuck. So we will, and for those at home that are watching, they think that we pick and choose who we're going to pick on, just through a thought process by like who we don't like or something. But honestly, it is by the stick. So whenever we set up a lab practical, whenever or maybe sometimes it's just calling on people, we use a stick. And so we let this be the last thing that we do here, and this is how we decide who comes up first. No alphabetical order, no favoritism, it's a stick. So we'll, first you pull and call, and again, how this will work, you'll be called, we'll come up, I'll scurry through and try to find your name as soon as possible. As you come up, I will place your pin, I will give you an oath, and then you can stop and have a picture with Jill if you would like.
Okay, first, Liz. Oh.
I put them in.
The next 2 I chose are not here, but I'm going to go ahead and say their names, Nicole and Brett. Sarah. Two more that can't be here today, Deanna and Austin. And the next one, I got to pause before I say this name, Kimberly, not Jessica, Kimberly. Two more that can't be here today, Kelsey and Candace. Kyle White. Sydney. Tiffany. Katie. Steph. Trev. Haley. And our last one here today, Eric. We also have Kyle G, Noah, Megan, Lene, and Josh, who couldn't be here today. You have to come see us if you want your stick and your pen. All right, December class of 2020. That was just May class of 2020. Tristan.
This doesn't help that I can't see anything anymore.
Amy. Hannah. Cheyenne. Libby. Levi. Ian's son just got an eye full, a look. It's okay, Jace. Levi said, ow. I'll be the play-by-play commentator during the pinning today. It was a fake ow. Ian did not stab him. Andrew. Yet.
This one might hurt.
Miranda. Cam. Jake. Tessa. Garrett. Matt? Cassie? Cassie B. Cass. Sorry. Now we have Cassie, Cassandra. Jordan. Adam. And Chris. Next, we're going to have the PTA oath, and I don't know if it's because you guys came up here individually, but I just feel very compelled to say this. You guys clean up really good. You look great today. We are used to seeing you in lab clothes, so you guys look wonderful.
All right. One of the things that we've gone through as a profession, or I want to say gone through, one of the things that they've done this year, which I'm really excited for, as part of the APTA, there's always been this thought that sometimes the APTA is not always inclusive of PTAs. That is getting better and better and better, and I hope that you guys consider that and consider keeping your memberships, being advocates, and having a voice. One of the things that they did this last year was that they worked on changing the wording to include physical therapist assistants in an oath. There was an oath for PTs. We had adopted this one to use every year. It included the physical therapist assistant. As of this year, the physical therapist assistant is included in the eyes of the APTA in the oath. So I'm really excited about that. But I'll have you guys just go ahead and stand up. And I will have you recite the oath, the physical therapy profession oath with me. As a physical therapist assistant dedicated to providing the highest quality of care and services, I solemnly pledge I will respect the rights and dignity of all individuals who seek my services or with whom I work, act in a compassionate and trustworthy manner in all aspects of my services, exercise sound professional judgment while abiding by legal and ethical requirements, demonstrate integrity during interactions with colleagues, other healthcare providers, students, faculty, researchers, the public, and payers for the enhancement of patient care and the advancement of the profession, enhance my practice through lifelong acquisition and application of knowledge, skills, and professional behavior, participate in efforts to meet physical therapy and healthcare needs of local, national, and global communities. Thus, with this oath, I accept the duties and responsibilities that embody the physical therapy profession. I'm excited to have you guys, like I said, as peers in this profession that we love. Congratulations. Bridget has put together a slide, so you can take a seat. We're going to conclude today. I'll run through the slides. You can see the pictures of when you were oh so young. And at the conclusion of that, we encourage you, we'd like to give you, some of you have seen, or you guys have seen, but you guys have not seen the new building. So we will have a tour of that. If you would like to take part in that, we'd like to take you to the new lab. Not to make you jealous, but just to show you how cool it is now. And so please stick around for that. We don't have music for this, so unless we could play the Pomp and Circumstance again. But This is like the other students, would be a preview for them to come. If they were here.
It's required. Kensington. Okay, now switch it up and show me Parkinson's. Okay, Kensington. Hey, in a year you guys will have been graduated by now. Think of that.
That was the beam that's in our lab that they're standing in front of right there. I don't know who all knows that the picture on the left is because there was a mouse in the two Bridget's. And the one on the right is because I wanted to see how realistic it was. Turns out really. And with that, that concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for coming. Thank you at home for watching. And we're excited for you to be out and see you out and about. If you ever anything, come on back. We will go over to the new building, so please follow us over. We can give you smaller tours of the place. And if we could get a couple group pictures, because that's one thing we don't have either. We'll have you come up onto the stage and we'll take some of those.